Hey everybody, my name is John Edwards, and I just wanted to share my own thoughts about the Jussie Smollett situation. So first of all, I just want to say I've actually never seen an episode of Empire. I've maybe seen commercials for it. So I don't know anything about Empire. And I actually had heard of Jussie Smollett, but I haven't really followed him, don't really know anything about him until all of this broke a few weeks ago. But I just thought I'd share my thoughts. And I'm sharing my thoughts as a black man. I'm sharing my thoughts as a gay black man. I'm sharing my thoughts as an immigrant, because you'll probably hear a little bit of my accent. And I'm sharing my thoughts also as a licensed psychotherapist. I'm not trying to make any diagnosis of Jussie or anything like that. I'm just commenting on sort of from the periphery what I have observed and heard over the last few weeks about the Jussie Smollett case. So I have some notes. I'm going to actually refer to them every now and again because I want to keep my thoughts in line and I don't want to go off on a tangent. So the first thing I want to talk about, we've all lied. Every single person has made some lie over their lifetime. Sometimes they're small lies, sometimes they're bigger lies, sometimes they're huge lies, and sometimes they're big hoaxes, and sometimes they're actual cover-ups, right? Cover-ups of things that actually happened because nobody really wants the truth to come out. And as I was thinking about doing this video, I actually came up with some of the things that popped into my mind over the years, and some of them, I'll age myself because I will reference them. But this is just to help maybe put some things in perspective in terms of the world we live in and what happens. We live in a very different world now where there's a lot of, there's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, there's all kinds of stuff. And everybody's on these sound bites as if, 10 words can actually explain what might be happening with someone. And I'm going to talk about what I think might be some alternate explanations for what's going on with Jussie Smollett. And actually, again, I haven't met the guy. I don't know the guy. He really seems like a nice guy and a professional person. But sometimes we all do stuff that doesn't actually make sense. And I would really like to encourage us first to extend some compassion to Jussie and some compassion to ourselves as a result of this, of whatever is going on. So I'm going to start out with some of the things in the past that have been problematic and that have been very controversial, right? So just about anybody over a certain age, over 40, for example, will remember the Tonya Harding, Nancy Kerrigan incident. And even to this day, poor Tonya Harding, who now goes by Tanya Price, is still viewed as this horrible, dreadful person who many people believe, and even when you talk about it, there's a lot of information, actually hit Nancy Kerrigan, which she didn't. And Tonya Harding / Price maintains that she actually had no part of planning the attack on Nancy Kerrigan. But people don't believe that. Anyway, this is something that happened, right? This is an awful thing that happened. And this is something awful that happened to someone else, right? It was planned by whoever the planners were, and they carried out the attack onto someone else. And so that's one of the things that popped into my mind. The other thing that popped into my mind, I'm just going to look at my notes here so I can keep track, is Susan Smith. So Susan Smith is a white woman who lived in South Carolina. And back in 1995, she actually killed her 2 young children. But initially said that she was carjacked by a black man and that the man took her kids, when in fact she actually did it. She actually murdered her own 2 kids. They were young. I think they were like 2 and 9 months or something like that. She strapped them in their car seats and let the car run into a lake. Okay? This is something to be upset about. That was 1995. That was a story that initially came out and everybody was like, oh my God, how could she do it? And, how black people doing this stuff. And then in the reality, turned out not to be true. That's a second case. A third case is Jeffrey Dahmer. Oh my God. Jeffrey Dahmer is one of the most infamous serial killers of the modern century. Here's one of the things about the Jeffrey Dahmer case. One of Jeffrey Dahmer's victims managed to escape. And if you don't know anything about Jeffrey Dahmer, just Google it. You'll find information. One of Jeffrey Dahmer's victims, who was a 14-year-old Asian boy, teenager, escaped after being drugged and sexually assaulted by Jeffrey Dahmer. Some women found him. They knew something was wrong. The police became involved. And policeman John, got to make sure I'm going to say his name right, John Balcerzak, if I'm saying that correct, Balcerzak, John Balcerzak actually gave the 14-year-old boy back to Jeffrey Dahmer. That boy died because Jeffrey Dahmer killed him. Former officer Balcerzak is actually heard on a recording making homophobic statements and jokes about the situation for giving back a 14-year-old boy to an adult man. The lovers, reuniting the gay lovers and all kinds of other crap is, can be heard on the recording. All right. This is something to be upset about. This occurred. Even more, in my mind, even more astonishingly infuriating is that John Balcerzak went on to be president of the Milwaukee Police Association. Okay? So when you folks are getting all upset about Jussie Smollett and, oh my God, he's taking away the opportunity for people to tell the truth later on, and there's going to be all kinds of problems. Nobody's going to be believed, that kind of stuff. Just consider the 3 cases that I've mentioned so far in which awful things have happened by people, and there was just a complete cover-up. As far as we know so far, the only person, if in fact Jussie Smollett made this up, the only person that he has hurt is basically himself, if he did make it up. I'm going to get a little bit later in the video to what my alternate ideas are. Again, don't know Jussie, haven't met him. I'm just giving you my thoughts and my feelings about what's going on. So there was Jeffrey Dahmer. And then, wow. Then there was the Central Park jogger case in the 1980s, in which 5 young boys, teenagers, ages 14 to 16, were accused of beating and raping a white woman, an investment banker. And then it turned out wasn't true. Wasn't the case. They didn't do it. But the entire New York City Police Department and the district attorney somehow managed to create a case against these teenagers, these boys. And even though the boys said that the statements that they made were coerced, no one believed them. No one believed them. And then it turned out that they were actually telling the truth. About 5 years ago in 2014, the case was actually settled for about $40 million. But you know what? New York City, rather than apologizing for their gross miscarriage of justice, went to extraordinary lengths to make sure that people know the New York City Department didn't do anything wrong. Neither the police nor the district attorney did anything wrong. How can you convict 4 people, or five people of a crime they didn't commit and not do anything wrong? How is that even possible? So let's just apply some critical thinking here regarding the Jussie Smollett case. The Chicago Police Department, because they're so good at being open and honest and fair, right? This is the same department that shoots people 17 times, unarmed black people 17 times. This is the same department that has secret torture chambers off-site. Is somehow all of a sudden righteously indignant. How could he? Oh my God, I can't believe he would do that. Really? Really? Why didn't you guys look at yourselves first? Look at all of the cases that you have and see if you're actually applying the same level of due diligence to all of the folks who have reported to you LGBT violence and or race-related violence. That's the first part of my video. That's what I'm saying. These things happen. People lie, people make things up. It is not unusual, and Jussie Smollett, if in fact he did do it, is probably not going to be the last person. So I want to invite everyone, all of us, whoever's looking at this video, to take a moment and start applying some critical thinking skills, right? Not just reaction, post a 2-second video, post something on Facebook, oh, this is what it is. Really start to think about the circumstances under which many of us live in the US. And why, if he did make it up, why would somebody make this stuff up? Oh my gosh, it just seems, it just seems unbelievable. All right, this part of the video, if you're already bored, sorry, but this part of the video is for all of the LGBT folk out there who are upset at Jussie Smollett. All right, so here are a couple of things. If you're looking at Jussie Smollett on Empire and you're listening to his music and you're doing other things that he does and you enjoy it, I'm just gonna say it. You're not his friend, okay? You are a fan. You're not his friend. Don't confuse the two and don't get into righteous indignation. How could he? After you don't really know him. You follow his music, you follow his acting, and we all do that. But you're not his friend. Okay, so just take a step back and realize that he actually hasn't done anything to you personally. Okay? If in fact he made it up, he hasn't done anything to you personally. So you gotta take a step back and you gotta regulate yourself. Our emotional world, our internal emotional world depends on us regulating it ourselves. We have to have distress tolerance skills. We have to have coping skills to deal with whatever life shoots at us, whatever comes by, okay? If you're depending on someone else to help regulate your internal system, I'm going to suggest as a psychotherapist that you need to get some help, okay? We can't go around hoping that other people will regulate us because, yeah, people are humans and, they kind of mess up sometimes. And so what we need to do is to be regulating ourselves, okay? You can have feelings, you can be angry, and you can be disappointed, but your world should not be coming to an end or crashing down because of what Jussie Smollett may or may not have done. Okay? All right. Looking at my notes again. All right. Actually, I think I covered everything there. Wow. Amazed at myself. Okay. All right. So Why is it that some people get a pass? Okay. Why is it that John Balcerzak can become the president of the Milwaukee Police Association from 2005, I think, until 2009. And then people are like losing their minds over Jussie Smollett, including news anchors. I mean, critical thinking people, come on. Let's just take a step back and let's put all of this in perspective. What has he done to actually hurt us? And then I can hear all of you going, yes, but now he's made it hard for other people who may experience racial discrimination or homophobic attacks and stuff like that. He's made it hard for them to come forward or to be believed. And now I think, how does that work? How does one man have the power to actually influence millions of lives? I'm just going to say it doesn't work that way. Okay? So if people don't want to believe someone else that comes forward that says that they have experienced a race-related or a homophobic attack, that has nothing to do with Jussie Smollett. That has everything to do with us and a nation and as human beings. That if somebody does one thing, if he did it, if he lied about it, that somehow that means, oops, can't trust anybody else that comes forward. Really? That's how it works? I'm going to say no, that is not how it works. We have to employ critical thinking. We have to be better human beings. And we have to be able to say, hey, this guy may have lied about it, even if it turns out that he lied about it. This guy may have lied about it. But we still have to employ critical thinking skills for every other situation that comes forward. I really don't understand this idea that somehow it's going to wipe out our capacity for critical thinking and for exploration and for investigative capacity. That's not how this works. So stop this idea that somehow, because he may have lied about it, if he did it, again, I don't know, but if he did it, that somehow all of these other people's stories are going to be washed aside. That is about us. That is not about Jussie Smollett. So let's just cut that crap out now because I actually find it annoying. Okay. The last part of my video is, what are some alternate explanations? And again, don't know Jussie. I'm just making it up from my own personal experience and from my experience as a psychotherapist. The black tax. The black tax. What is the black tax? The black tax basically it's what Trevor Noah talks about, right? So you're black, or actually I also call it the black tax and the immigrant tax, or the black and brown tax, where when you make it, right, you have to go back and save the entire village, right? So supposedly it was about, he was, trying to do some salary negotiation and stuff like that. Let's assume that is true, which I actually just read is apparently not true. So here we go again. With the Chicago Police Department apparently not really telling the truth. Because, yes, I'm sure they had I'm sure those poor two Nigerian guys were not intimidated being hauled into the Chicago PD. So anyway, what I'm saying is that sometimes we as black people can make decisions that are not best for ourselves, brown people, immigrants, because we're trying to take care of the entire village. And my only suggestion is, I'm going to encourage black and brown folks and immigrant folks to give yourselves a Republican-style tax cut. Okay? It's one thing to help somebody, buy a textbook, or even, maybe help them pay for babysitting services while they take a class at night or something like that. But it's another thing to have people solely rely on you to live their lives. We got to try to start changing that dynamic. So if in fact he did do it, if in fact it was around salary negotiations, which apparently it's not, but if it was, one thing would be is that he's suffering from the black tax, where he's trying to, support everybody that has ever had any contact with him. And we just can't do that because we can't give what we don't have. All right. My last comment is about trauma, the legacy of trauma. And I'm talking about emotional trauma, right? If you're LGBTQ, we've all experienced it. We've all been traumatized, right? We've all been walking on the road and been, minding our own business and gotten beat up or gotten verbally abused or something like that, and growing up in homes that are perhaps not necessarily supportive of who we are, and we've experienced trauma. So I don't know what happened in Jesse's life. I have no idea. But if he did do this, this could be a traumatic response, and this would be a cry for help. So I'm really hoping that those that are around Jesse, that actually know him, that are his friends, and that are his team and his family, that he is getting the most expert mental health care and help that is available. And I'm just going to say this. I know it's probably going to get me in trouble, but I know it's going to get me in trouble, but I'm going to say it anyway. When I say expert mental health care, that does not include Dr. Phil. Okay? I'm just going to say it. I said it. Fine. I'm probably going to get all sorts of comments about it. I don't really care. All right? There are wonderful, expert, helpful mental health professionals of color that can help anybody trying to support Jesse in his inner circle. I think he needs that right now as well. That is what he needs. He needs love and support from all the people that care and love for him in his inner circle. Get him some really good mental health care. If you are impacted by this and you are suffering and you have had an experience and now you are wondering if you can come forward or if you should continue to pursue, I want to encourage you to continue your path of healing. Okay? Talk to your trusted friends. If you tell your friends something happened to you and their first response is, oh my God, you might be lying because Jussie Smollett lied or possibly lied, that person is probably not a great friend. They're probably not a great friend. And you probably need to find a different friend. I'm going to put up some support numbers on here if you're having difficulty right now, because you should talk with someone, get expert mental health help. If you're having difficulty with the truth about yourself or about something that you did or that you saw, please go get expert mental health help out there. It is available. Sometimes it can be a little hard, especially people of color. It can be a little hard actually it can be a lot hard, not just a little hard. It can be a lot hard finding a psychotherapist or counselor of color. But, there are some non-POC therapists who are actually okay. Believe it or not, they do exist. And I'm just going to put a plug in right now because it just popped into my mind. So if you are a person of color and you're looking for a great therapist and you're having a hard time finding a therapist that is a person of color, and you're considering finding a therapist that is not a person of color, a great resource is called Therapy Den. Okay? And the therapists on Therapy Den, the non-therapists of color on Therapy Den, have actually really worked and are working at understanding what life is like for a person of color. And so they're working on not doing unintentional or even intentional damage during counseling sessions. So that's a great resource to look at, therapyden.com. And I think that is it for me. I might do a follow-up video. I'm not sure. I hope this made sense to you. Compassion for yourself. compassion for Jussie Smollett. Let's have lots of positive energy and grace and support for someone who is having a really challenging time now. Thanks for watching.